Hello and welcome to Ask Deb About Health. I am Rom Gayoso, co-host. We are broadcasting via Fuji TV, the home of the future on television. You can find us on Roku TV, on Apple TV, and on Fire TV. You can also find us as an app on Google Play and on the Apple Play Store. Or if you're using the internet, our web browser is fuji.tv. So, folks, thank you so very much for your feedback. We have been working very hard to bring you the latest and greatest on health and wellness topics. We heard your feedback, and here's the result. We are lining up top physicians, healthcare experts, and patient advocates to address health topics and to answer your questions. There's a lot to talk about on this topic, but Deb and I can cover the bases. So, first, let me say a few words about the show. So this show is broadcast every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time via Fuji TV, where I join Deb Dietz to discuss a variety of health and wellness topics. Do you have a condition and are you looking for more information about it? Do you want to hear firsthand information about research and new discoveries? How about meeting top experts in a variety of fields? If you're seeking information, and you can get your answers and build your confidence. If you want to prepare for your next consultation with your healthcare practitioner, and your goal is to build health literacy, then this show is for you. So let's get started. So I will be sharing a few words about our host, Deb Dietz. All righty. So Deb has a long and distinguished career as a coach, mentor, and through her awesome training programs at SMB Digital Education, she has enabled many people to find the information they need. And that's exactly what I like about her. Her ability to investigate and talk about tough topics while helping all of us find the information we need. Have a health-related question? Well, let's ask Deb. Without further ado, let's welcome Deb Dietz, the star of the show and host of Ask Deb About Health. Hi, Deb. How wonderful to see you.
Hey, Ram. So great to see you today. And I'm delighted to welcome everybody to the show. Just a little bit about what we're doing here today. Our show focuses on helping people build their health literacy skills to successfully find and access care, prevent certain conditions, effectively manage those conditions, communicate their needs, understand their choices, and make informed decisions. And we invite guests on our show, healthcare professionals, to discuss health and wellness related topics. And there is a lot of medical information out there, and much of it is conflicting information. But my promise to you is that by the end of our time together today, you'll have at least one key takeaway that you'll learn from these experts, this expert today, to make actionable for yourself and for your family. And so our discussion will focus on practical information that you can ensure that you're making those good decisions and that you can get the medical care that you need. And your relationship with your healthcare practitioner is just that. It's a relationship, meaning it's two-sided. So if you're an educated patient, you will have a better outcome. And sometimes you just need to know the questions to ask. And so this is the place where you'll learn how to do that. So today, you're going to learn why that daily soda or sodas, plural, your flavored coffee, myself included, my pumpkin spice latte yesterday, or even your healthy snack could be quietly damaging your brain and pushing you toward diabetes, and how you can turn it all around starting right now.
All righty. So let's get going. So today we're excited to welcome TaShawn Davis to the show. TaShawn is a registered nurse and the author of two powerful books that expose the hidden dangers of sugar and show how it's fueling today's health crisis. So book number one is Sugar Deception, Full System Review, The Hidden Ways Sugar Hijacks Your Health and How to Reverse Type 2 Diabetes, Insulin Resistance, and Inflammation Naturally. And book number two is Uproot the Cravings, a 21-day faith-based devotional and sugar detox to break addiction, restore energy, and renew your mind, body. TaShawn has helped countless people reverse type 2 diabetes, improve brain health, and reclaim their energy. And today, she's here to share what you need to know to protect yourself and your family. So without further ado, let's welcome TaShawn to the show. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Hi, TaShawn. So good to see you. Good. Welcome, welcome. Before we start, why don't we just take a minute and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your specialty and the work that you do.
So I'm TaShawn Davis. I am a registered nurse. I've been a registered nurse for 20 years, and I specialize in insulin resistance and metabolic health. Um, Lately, I have been coaching numerous people to help them reduce or reverse their type 2 diabetes and many conditions involving insulin resistance.
Wonderful, wonderful. So obviously you are a subject matter expert when we're delighted to have you here today. Certainly I've written not only one book, but two, and now working on a third, and really are an expert about the dangers of sugar. So take us back to maybe the origin. What started you on this path? How did you become passionate about this topic?
Well, I am 47 years old. I know women don't always come out and tell their age, but in my 30s, I started to lose my memory. And so I did not, as a registered nurse, we love to research and know the why behind things. And so it took me on a journey to say, well, okay, I've tried vegetarian, I've tried vegan. Like, why am I losing my memory? I'm paying attention to my health more than I did when I was younger. And through my research, I understood that many clinicians and physicians were referring to dementia as type 3 diabetes. And so it just took me on another journey as to, well, why? And so I actually went into the library and checked out multiple books so that I could understand it better. And then through the books and through the documentaries that I would watch online, I would find the doctors who were actually studying in this field, and I would follow them on the social media or on their own websites to just learn as much as I could. I'm not a good salesman. So I always try to find out like why and get to the root of the issue. And it was the only thing that was making sense to me. It's insulin resistance. And what do we do the most, and what are we not addressing? And I found out that the sugar and carbohydrates, we don't talk about it. We are quick to talk about fat, salt, and cholesterol, but no one is talking about sugar.
Wow. It's amazing how a personal mission can grow into something that impacts so many people. I think, but for a lot of us, I think sugar still feels harmless, right? Because people just don't have, an understanding of the true impact it can have on your body and on your brain. So that little bit of sugar really isn't, a good thing. It can lead to bad things. Tell us a little bit about the reality of how sugar impacts our health as years go by. The impact it can have over time.
Yeah, so a lot of people may not know that a disease process that's related to insulin resistance can start 10 to 20 years earlier with small cues and signs. Like high blood pressure could be one cue that your insulin levels are off. Eczema, different issues, even allergies and things like that. But over time, so you might be good with having, the different things, the sugar and eating honey buns and all of that, but eventually you break down. I like how some doctors call it actually carbohydrate toxicity, because it comes to a point to where your body just cannot handle anymore.
Wow. It's interesting. Sugar seems to sneak into so many foods that we don't necessarily think about. So if I was standing in my kitchen right now, in front of my my pantry, in front of my refrigerator, what are some of the biggest, I'll call it stealth sugars, offender in my kitchen? What's in there that is probably really not a good thing to be eating or consuming?
Any yogurts that are claiming to be natural, you'll play the fruit on the bottom, in the pantry, the granola bars, honey. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get in trouble. A lot of things. I actually the where the sugar, the uproot the cravings came from. I did actual 21-day in-person challenge with a group of ladies that were in a nonprofit, and she actually started bringing things out of the pantry. She was like, "Yeah, I eat this." I'm like, "Ooh, let's look at the sugar. Let's look at, what's in there." And even like the sugar-free jelly, it has some ingredients in it that are very concerning. I'm like, I know you're trying to do better, but even things that are labeled sugar-free may not be the very best because they put ingredients in it that is often worse than sugar itself.
You know what? And I appreciate you sharing that. And for everybody who's watching today, I think, and I'm sure you'll be talking about this at the end with, the key takeaways that you want people to take with them after the show is, there's, be mindful. You have to pay attention, I guess. And maybe, now that I'm literally, have immersed myself into my kitchen and my pantry, and I'm just thinking right now, everything that's in there, because I'm a home cook. I cook every night. And so, but I'm thinking, I need to really start paying attention and be more mindful. And I think that's a great, first step for people is just, take a pause and take an inventory. Maybe it's a good idea, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So, so we talked a little bit about, the toxicity and the impact it has on your body and on your brain. Can you tell us a little bit about the connection between, and you started off the conversation talking about your memory issues. So talk a little bit more about the connection between sugar, memory, and even dementia.
Yeah. So just as our body does, so when we get to the cellular level of it all, whenever you overconsume carbohydrates and sugar, your body can become insulin resistant. And so you have your cell, and whenever you have too much sugar in the cell, it doesn't allow the key, which is the insulin, to unlock that cell to utilize more. And so even in our brains, as we continue to consume, our brains can't uptake the energy that it needs from the sugar, the glucose so a lot of people, have understood our brain needs glucose to run, but it does not need exogenous glucose. Our brain can make enough. It can have just enough. We don't need to continue to fuel it with sugar or things that we think are not sugar, but just good for us foods, but they actually do turn into sugar. Right. And so we do become insulin resistant in the brain. And on inside of my book, I talk about type, how chronic insulin damages the blood vessels in the brain, and it becomes insulin resistance. And it's hard to properly absorb the glucose. Our focus, a lot of people. So for me, it was everybody probably has a story like this where you would, in the beginning of, maybe getting busy or after having a baby, you would go into a room. Okay, what did I come in here for? And then you will walk back out and then come back in and then kind of remember what you came in here for. But it's that time where you go into the room and no matter what you do to try to remember, you can't remember. And that's where you're like, and we just think it's normal. It's just, I'm busy. It's a part of everyday aging, but it's your body is trying to tell you something. Okay. Like something is not right. That memory fog is the first thing. Memory fog and just not being able to remember at all. We need to take into account that there might be more going on than just it's a part of well, for me, everyday aging at 30 years old, I'm already doing this. It's not normal.
Right, right. Wow. Is it possible for people to become addicted to sugar? And because it almost sounds like sugar affects the brain in the same way some addictive substances do. Is that fair to say that you can actually become addicted to this?
Oh, absolutely. There have been studies done, and I cite one in, I believe, Sugar Deception, where, the mice was more drawn to sugar than heroin. It's more addicted than heroin. And because it highlights those same pleasure receptors, the serotonin and dopamine. It's like, yes, yes. And, it can excite, a mouse to death, just getting that sugar, very addictive. And the way I explain it simply in the Uproot the Cravings is, has it caused you damage? Are you understanding that I'm getting sicker, I'm not doing well, but I still want to eat this thing, or I still want to have this, although I know that my body is not responding well. I know that my memory is going. I know that they just told me I'm a pre-diabetic. So, even with, as I go through like the different phases of addiction, actually, I do an addiction quiz, and I talk about the different phases of addiction in the Uproot the Cravings. One of them is the health food believer, is what I call her, where she is a vegetarian and she's eating all the things, a lot of rice and veggies and potatoes and honey, all the good for you stuff, but she's a pre-diabetic. And so, I challenged her to come off of some of the stuff. You can be a vegetarian and eat less sugar and carbohydrates. You can do that. But the thing is, you have to pay attention. So if sugar is what causes insulin to come out and your body is insulin resistant, we have to be careful about adding more things that will increase that insulin, because a type 2 diabetic and pre-diabetic, which I don't believe there's a such thing as a pre-diabetic, the damage is already done. They're just waiting for actually your one more sign, which is the damage in your eyes. That's how they first found out, that these amount of people have now type 2 diabetes. But they're waiting. Remember when we talked about earlier, it's been 10 to 20 years. So the damage is slowly going. We're becoming more and more insulin resistant, but they won't give us the diagnosis until we get the damage in our eyes. And so she was told I'm a pre-diabetic, but I eat healthy. Is it healthy for you though if you have insulin resistance? If your body is not uptaking insulin the way it should, because when it does, it's you have so much that your body is now storing that excess sugar as fat in your liver, and you're getting fatty liver, and you're getting pre-diabetes, whatever that is, and you're getting sicker. So if you understand I'm getting sicker, but I don't want to stop eating the things because it's so-called healthy for me, that could be an addiction.
I see. Well, you're a specialist in helping people reverse type 2 diabetes. So can you share how that's possible, and what role does reducing your sugar intake play? Because I think, there are a lot of people out there, and it's almost too common probably, when people talk about, oh, I'm pre-diabetic. I hear that a lot from a lot of people. So share how it's possible to reverse that, or start, if being aware that this is an issue, but what are some of those steps that you can take to start to reduce that negative impact that it has over time?
Yeah. And I think even like in the world of diabetics or dietitians and things like that, people don't like to hear reverse, even still, they don't want to hear reverse. And I like the way a certain doctor put it. He had a story, if you found out that your cat is getting sick, and you notice that every time your cat goes outside, and it comes back, it's getting sicker and sicker. And then you finally take it to the vet, and you found out that your neighbor was poisoning your cat. And so you then decide, okay, well, the cat's not going outside, the neighbor gets in trouble or whatever, and then you stop. Then your cat starts to get better. And so what happens is, if we stop putting the things in our body that causes, remember the carbohydrate toxicity, if we stop putting the carbohydrates in, we can actually reverse the diabetes. So if carbohydrates and sugar cause our insulin to elevate to a point of our body, our cells are no longer responding, if we take away that toxicity, our insulin levels will come down and it will normalize, and we actually will be able to get A1C levels, which is that test indicator that would say that we no longer are diabetic. And so to stop, so because people are like, well, potatoes are good for you, but we have to remember physiology. If we put it in our mouth, amylase comes out and it turns it into sugar, in our body. Your body doesn't know whether you just ate a potato or a sucker. And so it's very hard to tell, I always think the very first thing to do is stop the sugar and carbs, even if you got to do it for 21 days, see how you feel, see, if this helps. A lot of people often want to say, let's add and add and add. And I have a lot of stuff that I can add, but first let's stop the offender and then let's go for it. And even to the point of going only 20 to 50 grams of carbohydrates per day from whatever source, whether it be rice, brown bread, whatever. And that's another thing. A lot of people may think that like wheat bread, white bread, brown rice is still going to break down into sugar.
Okay.
That's the bottom line.
Okay. Wow. That's, again, powerful. So thank you for that. You work with a lot of people, helping them reduce this impact. Is there one patient or one person that you've worked with that's kind of stayed with you as you've been doing this work? Is there one particular case that really stands out to you that really was meaningful to you? You were able to help them?
Yeah, there are several. I think, I guess, first of all, for me, the biggest thing was I've been a nurse for 20 years. And so in the beginning of my career, I used to only see people in their 70s and 80s, with type 2 diabetes, kidney failure, and things like that. Now I'm seeing them my age and younger, and it's really heartbreaking. And so as I still do visiting nursing and go into clients' homes, I'm seeing the same advice: eat 45 to 60 grams of carbohydrate per meal, which is 3 meals a day plus 2 snacks at 15 grams of carbohydrates per snack. And I'm like, you're eating over 100 teaspoons of sugar per day and you're wanting to get rid of diabetes. And so the very first person, not the very first, but one that really, really sticks out to me, she was a lady in her 70s. And I met her, and I wrote about her in the book as well. But when I met her, she had this cough that she had had for months, that the doctor could not figure out. She told me her story as to why she went into the hospital. So she's been a diabetic for 20 years, and the doctors could never get her levels under 200. The doctor increased her insulin, sent her to an endocrinologist. The endocrinologist gave her more insulin and sent her to a place to learn how to eat properly. Doing all of that, and I know she did it all to the T, because when I told her what to do, she did it. But she ended up in the middle of the road, spinning around in her electric scooter, motorized scooter, in a diabetic coma. Her blood sugar was over 600 and her A1C was over 13.
Oh my.
And this is following everything. And I'm just like, why? And so I met her and I educated her, and her son, who is a chef, followed everything that I said. And within 2 weeks, the cough went away. Her blood pressure normalized. Her blood sugars came down from 80 to 130, and she could not she actually had symptoms because her blood sugars have never been that normal. But after a while, she didn't have any more symptoms of feeling like nervousness because her blood sugar's around her too. Now her body's like, this is normal for us. But as time went on, there was a place that, because, her son had to work, actually he had an alcohol problem. So he wasn't always cooking for her. And she brought out some things to me as I came to see her, and it was called Meals for Mom or something like that. Mm-hmm. She was like, what do you think about these? These are for diabetics. And I'm like, I look at it and I'm like, all right, well, let's think about this together. And so what I did was I used it, it looks like a banquet meal, a small meal.
I know what you mean.
I actually measured out the amount of sugar that was inside of that one little meal. And it was like a barbecue meal with potatoes and vegetables. It had like barbecue sauce, but it measured out to like a half a bowl of sugar. And so I said, this is why we're so sick. We're following all the advice. We're doing everything that the doctors are saying. And I know we are. I know the clients are, because I actually am in the homes. I'm seeing what they're eating. They're eating the brown rice. They're eating the wheat bread. They don't have fat. They're extremely scared of fat. They're doing margarine. They're doing no salt. Everything that they've been told to do. Wow. But they're getting sicker. We have more specialists than we've ever had before, more dialysis centers. This shouldn't be, if we are heading in the right direction. So my heart is to reduce 1 million diabetics in my lifetime, reverse. And so that's one story, and I have several.
Wow. Again, just, the impact that you're making on the lives of these people is absolutely incredible. I mean, you're giving them their lives back, and through education. So I'm just so impressed with this and the impact that you're having, and education is critically important. You talk a lot about, working with people in their homes, and I want to just shift a little bit here and talk about kids and children, because it seems to me, after hearing you say all this, is if we can, start paying more attention to what we're feeding our children, being more mindful of that, and learning what we need to know in order to be, making sure that we're providing the appropriate nutrition and reducing sugar. How can parents set their kids up for a healthy relationship with food? So we've got viewers, their parents, their grandparents, they may be thinking about their own health, but also thinking about the younger generation. How can parents set their kids up for success here?
Yeah, truly understand. For me, I know I started when I had probably my last child, and as my nieces and everything started to have children, I was like focusing on get the real food from, the outer ends. Don't feed them that crap out the jar. Don't feed them this. Yeah. And so I would tell them that, but it's more to it than just that. We have to still pay attention to the insulin, the amount of sugar. Like I would get low sugar juices. No, I would get 100% juice to give my kids, because I'm like, oh, that's much better. But juice is a lie. Juice is such a lie. It's like sugar water with synthetic vitamins, because whenever you pasteurize something, you have to heat it up to a point to where it has no nutritional value. But that's the next book that I'm writing, Seedless Lies, and I'll be talking about juice and stuff. But wow, so we have to pay, because a good meal for a parent might be, I'm going to give my child oatmeal in the morning with bananas, orange juice, and toast. I mean, if we broke that down into how much sugar that we actually just gave our child for breakfast, and then we wonder why they're getting diagnoses of ADHD. I mean, right now it's even more prevalent to see fatty liver and pre-diabetics in 10-year-olds.
In 10-year-olds?
I've literally, I would say at least twice a month, I've seen children, my patients' grandchildren. I need your information because my grandchild was just died. I'm like, are you serious? Like it almost makes, every time I think about it, it makes me almost want to cry, because for me, I'm like, I did this for my kids. I literally would give them it was that type of meal in the morning, and then a sandwich with, Sun Chips, the best chips, and 100% juice for lunch. And then I would bring them home. You got to have a meat, you have to have a carbohydrate, and you have to have a vegetable. And then, you didn't have anything bad. So maybe it's Kool-Aid for for dinner.
Yeah.
All day long, it has been on a sugar. Everything has been sugar. When you really break it down and think about it, 10 years later, I have eczema, or I high blood pressure, all the things that we don't. Insulin resistance, it comes in many PCOS, dementia, diabetes. There is many things that spring off from insulin resistance, and we don't realize. All we look for is just diabetes. I don't have to pay attention to my sugar. I don't have diabetes. Yes, you do, because insulin resistance. Insulin, when it comes out, I like to teach that it sits on every cell. It doesn't play fair, so you can't uptake vitamin D. That's why depression comes. And we can be out in the sun all day long, but if our cells can't uptake it because insulin is on that cell, then we can take all the pills, all the vitamins, but we have to get rid of the perpetrator first. So as far as doing it with the kids, I love in my when I'm coaching one-on-one, I encourage people to make a fun day where you're cooking with the kids. There's pizza recipes that they can do that are low carb. There's something called chafos, all kind of recipes. And then I have a lady I love to follow, Maria Emmerich, who cooks for her kids all the time. It's very inspirational, but do it with your kids and do it with understanding. That's the biggest thing. Do it with understanding.
Do it with understanding. Very, very powerful there. And I'm thinking maybe there's a fourth book in your future about, maybe it's a cookbook with appropriate recipes. Maybe maybe that will happen down the road. But one thing that really stood out to Ram and I when we getting to know you and talking about this topic is your second book, Uproot the Cravings. And you referred to this a little bit ago about your 21-day faith-based devotional and sugar detox. And when I read that, Ram and I are both people of faith, so that immediately that got our attention. But help us all understand how your faith-based devotional helps people get through the detox process. What's the impact that faith has on wellness based on the work that you do?
Yeah, so big time. Anything we put before our God is an idol. And so if we decide that we are going to love this thing that's impacting our health more and lean on it for comfort more than we lean on God, then it's a problem. It's in the way. And so each day that you go through this book, you'll get not only it's 21 days and it's very, very short to the point. So not only will you get direction as to what to do, but what your body is going through, a devotional and a declaration and a prayer, to help you, to help us to see. So not only will our minds be renewed, but our bodies literally physically inside will be able to break free from some of that stuff, that stronghold. It is an addiction, and it's a stronghold, and it gives you just a day by day, every day. A lot of people don't want to be overwhelmed with so many instructions. So one page, maybe 2-3 sentences. This is all you need to do.
This is great. This is it's manageable, but it's I think what's the expression? If you do something for three straight weeks, it becomes a habit. An expression like that. So this is very good for people to know that and you're making it digestible, quote unquote. And words are digestible for people that they can work with. They can take practical steps to make improvements here. And I like that. And that's really kind of the spirit of, why we do these shows is just that, practical information, the things that you can do that really can have a big impact. And, in your 21-day, program, it sounds, ideal in order to help people do that. So I thank you for that. I'm going to actually ask Ram to come back in, and he's been kind of paying attention to what people are saying on social media. And so what are we hearing from our friends out there in social media world?
Yes, of course we are, especially from Facebook. So, TaShawn, one question here can be kind of resumed as, how much sugar is actually safe to consume in a day, and how do we know that we are actually overdoing it?
So our bodies are only meant to hold 1 teaspoon of sugar per day.
Oh,
That's physiology. And so how do we know that we're overdoing it? Eating over 1 teaspoon of sugar per day. But no, so when a child consumes a lot of sugar, they can eat the sugar and then they can go run and run it off. As an adult, though, we go through the same motions, but they call it depression or bipolar because our brain is going up and down and up and down. We have to hold it in, but we're still going through the motions of sugar being impacted on us. So it gives us a high, then it brings us low. And then every 2 hours you have to eat because you have to replace that high. Basically, you have to replace it because now we're too low, and then we're too high, and then we're too low. So yeah. So if you have any symptoms, even of depression, any high blood pressure, even to know that for every 1 gram of carbohydrate we consume, we hold on to 3 to 4 grams of water. A lot of people blame salt, but the inflammation is what's happening in our bodies. We're becoming really tight within our cells in our body. And I was saying, when insulin comes out, it doesn't allow other hormones to be used appropriately. And one of those hormones is aldosterone, which tells your body to hold on or to release water. And so if you have high blood pressure, you're probably consuming too much sugar as well.
Got it. So another question here is about the different types of sugar. So are all sugars equally harmful, or is it like natural sugars from fruits okay? What's the spiel on the different kinds of sugars?
If you're insulin resistant, I think they all are on the same level. The biggest difference, which many people might not like, whenever you consume fruit, there's fructose. And the only thing that metabolizes fructose is your liver. One of the biggest things that is happening, and one of the biggest diagnoses that people are actually dying from in today's time, is NAFLD, which is non-alcoholic fatty liver. And it comes from the consumption of sugar. Remember, whenever you eat too much sugar, your body converts that sugar into fat and stores it in the liver. And that's the fatty liver. And fruit directly just hits it. So fruit sugars, honey, it's sugar, it's glucose and fructose. So honey hits it. It's very dangerous because I know a lot of people would want to hear, cane sugar, this sugar, that sugar. But if your body's metabolically sick, there is no sugar really that's safe. You want to avoid it until you can get to a point to maybe start adding things back.
Got it. So a different kind of question is, some people are saying that sugar is as addictive as any kind of drug. So how true is that really?
Oh, it's true. Yeah, they did the study with the mouse. He went for the sugar instead of the heroin. And it's very, very addictive. And it gives the same pleasure responses as the serotonin and the dopamine. It gives your brain a hit, the pleasure center. It's very addictive.
Got it. So what are some common foods or drinks that have the hidden sugars that people don't even realize? Can you give us the good, the bad, let's go the bad and the ugly?
The bad.
What are the things that you say, this is really a no-no?
I think I almost want to cuss, and I'm not a cusser. When I see, especially my cancer patients, being told to drink Ensure or Boost. because some of the first ingredients are like high fructose corn syrup and the bad oils, soybean oils, and all the things, they actually, and I'm sorry if I'm like not supposed to say all of this, but had a lawsuit against them because of the non-nutritional values. I'm not sure if they've changed some of their ways, but some of the ingredients, even in some of the enteral feedings, the tube feeding formulas, when you look at the ingredients, you're like, well, why do you have to have maltodextrin in here, plus high fructose corn syrup, plus regular sugar, plus vegetable oils and things like that? Like, it's so, my goal, I have a nephew who is tube fed. And my ultimate goal is to be able to create a better formula for him so that he does not have to have this formula that is obviously, when I'm teaching my clients, I tell them when you go to the store, look out for maltodextrin, look out for modified cornstarch, look out for all of this. But literally, when you don't have a choice, you're just getting it fed to you through a tube in your belly. And so the Boost, the Ensure, 100% natural juices that are full of sugar. Basically, I was just saying it's sugar water with synthetic vitamins added to it as juice. And the health food bars, even fruit, apples, bananas, because when you eat fruit that's out of season, they're going to try to make it appeal to your palate. And so they're going to put more things in it to make it sweeter, more palatable. And even, fruit, if it's not in season and we're getting it shipped off from, another country to come here, what kind of nutritional value does it have once it gets here? So it's nothing magical about it. Berries, I love to, a berry is lower in sugar. So I don't, say anything much about berries, and I know you can freeze fruit as well. But for the most part, people are just go get the fresh stuff. This fruit has been out of season for 5 months, and something's supposed to be magical about it. It's not.
Okay, so different kind of question here. So can sugar affect your mood or make you more prone to anxiety and depression? What's the relationship there?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, when you're eating sugar, you have that roller coaster where you need to eat. So I have to eat something, and a lot of people will go for that quick thing. I wrote in, I think, sugar deception, how I had in my nursing class, because it was the last class of the day. It was a honey bun, Doritos, and a Mountain Dew. That was my way. But 20 minutes into class, I was asleep. So this is my nutrition class too. That's what makes it even worse. And I said, well, if I was paying attention to that instead of eating all of that stuff, maybe I would have learned something. But yeah, so it causes, there are many, many psychologists. That's why I love, the more I research into this topic and see the people who are pioneering in their fields, I love to see the testimonies that come forth. So there is a psychologist, her name is, I don't know if she's a psychologist or psychiatrist, but her name is Georgia Ede. And she actually helps so many clients by reducing sugar and carbohydrates to the point of ketogenesis. And she does it. And so she's been doing it for over a decade, where she used to treat with medication, she's treating with diet, and she's seeing bipolar reverse. She's seeing schizophrenia reversed. There's a crazy powerful story about how that happened, because people don't think schizophrenia. No, they go back to normal. Like literally, it is amazing. So many testimonies that are coming out from people stopping the sugar and carbohydrates down to ketogenesis or ketogenic. So that's between 20 and 50 grams of carbohydrates per day, no more than that, because now your brain, because the way that keto was started, it's over 100 years ago for children with epilepsy. And the doctor was using it to treat epilepsy. So any neurological condition can be treated this way and helped tremendously. I believe it's Tim Tebow's dad who had Parkinson's disease. And with that Parkinson's disease, he got so much better, and the doctor was able to help him with his symptoms so much that Tim Tebow said that he wanted to start the diet because he saw the improvement with his dad. Wow. And so any neurological condition is perfect, like any depression. And so I love it when I had, and of course me, because I did it because I was losing my memory. I'm like, I need to know more. And so I'm a living example, that you definitely will be able to get better any mental issues when you cut sugar and carbs.
Okay, so different kind of question here. So what about artificial sweeteners? Are they really a safe alternative, or do they carry their own hidden risks?
They absolutely carry their own hidden risk. So natural sugars. So to understand it, I don't know if I wrote about the sugars. I wrote about the sugars. That are better for you, which are more natural sugars like the monk fruit, the allulose is an amazing sugar. And I just did an experiment with it. It acts like a GLP-1. It acts like Ozempic. And stevia, but you don't want to mess with aspartame or sucralose. And, there are different ones that you don't want to have. They are actually neurotoxic. They mess with your brain. So there are great ones that do amazing things, xylitol and, that are very, very good for you. But yeah, it does take a little bit of research and understanding, and that's why I write about it.
Great. So one last question. Is it possible to really completely reverse the damage that sugar has done to your body and your brain?
I've seen, one of the things that I've seen with one of my clients, neuropathy. She was a type 2 diabetic, and she actually went into a diabetic ketoacidosis twice, where she went into comas in the hospital, almost dead. Started coaching her, and within the first 2 weeks, or it was a couple weeks, and her blood sugars were still like 200 to 300. I'm like, you're not doing something I'm teaching you, because your blood sugars will come down when you follow the plan. And she was like, oh, okay. I'm still putting honey in my coffee. And I said, well, you got to get rid of the honey. I know it's good for you, but it's not good. It's supposed to be good for us, but it's not good for you because, your insulin, you have diabetes. And she took away that. And it was actually the Lord that told me, as I am coaching her, once she starts to do the things, that it will accelerate and that she will be healed quicker. And so she did not have feeling in her feet. So she was already going through diabetic neuropathy. And most people think once you get that, it's over. There is no reversal. I used to work at the VA for 12 years, and I used to think that the legs were missing because of the war. 99% of the people was uncontrolled diabetes, and it shocked me. Still shocks me to this day. But so she was on her way to losing her foot. And within 2 to 3 weeks of taking the sugar away, taking the honey away, blood sugar is now going down, because she wasn't going under 300 either. Now going down to 80 to 130. She said in the middle of the night when we got back on our coaching call, she said, I started to feel feeling in my foot. She said, I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? What is this? And so, yes, the effects can be reversed. It depends on what it is. But for her, yes, that diabetic neuropathy has been reversed. And not only that, I had a client that was given 6 months to live because his kidneys were failing. And remember, we talked about how aldosterone and everything affects the kidneys. The insulin is in the way. And he was doing the things that the doctor had suggested, but the doctor was just like, you're going to die in 6 months. I started coaching him, and within 2 months, it reversed. His kidney numbers came to a point to where they're like, I don't know what you did, but you're going to do fine. So, life changing. It depends. And even there's many doctors with clients that have dementia, and they can see the reverse of their loved ones are now. Annette Bosworth has a beautiful story of a lady that had dementia that didn't even remember how to put on her clothes, but was able to reverse that and understand all directions. Like, it's amazing what we can do once we pay attention.
That's it. And once we have the information and are educated on what to do.
Yeah.
So that is, those were great questions and great answers, TaShawn. So if you could leave our viewers with one life-changing message about sugar, what would it be?
I would definitely say try to understand, make informed healthcare decisions. A lot of people are so frustrated because of the they say, she say, but physiology says one thing and it continues to say it. And so if what we put in our body does something once we put it in there, understand what it does and pay attention to what is affecting you. Make informed healthcare decisions. Don't just follow the crowd.
Wow. Brilliant response. Thank you. Before we sign off today, can you let our audience know how they can find you so that they can connect or reach out for help?
So you can book a vision call at www.write, W-R-I-T-E, the vision, VISION 22.com. And I'm on all social medias, TaShawn Davis, RN Health Coach. I think I'm everywhere. I don't know.
Oh, wonderful.
Some of them get more attention than the other ones. I think I'm more on Facebook now than anything, which I didn't really want to be on. But
okay. Can you also let everybody know where they can find your books? Sugar
Amazon.
Deception and Uproot the Cravings.
Yes, everything is on Amazon.
Everything's on Amazon. Well, TaShawn, thank you so much for this incredible conversation and for sharing your expertise about sugar to our viewers. I think, there's hope here. If you have the right information and you take steps today, you can you'll be better off and maybe be able to undo some of the damage that's been done. So thank you for that. And there's one thing to take away from today. It's that you have more power over your health than you think. And it starts with what's on your plate or what's in your cup. So cutting back sugar can protect your body, your brain, and your future. Start small, right? I'm going to go home and take a look at what's in my refrigerator and my pantry. And I'm serious about that. But start today. And if everybody does that, then I think we'll all be on the right path forward. And by doing that, you'll give yourself the gift of a longer, healthier life. And please don't hesitate to connect with TaShawn if you have questions or need any help.
Oh, wonderful. And we sure covered a lot of ground today. So thank you for joining us. We hope you learned something new about sugar and about TaShawn Davis, a woman on a journey to help all of us reduce our dependency on sugar and get back to greater health. So, folks, it's time for us to start saying our goodbyes, at least for the show today. Again, thank you so very much for your being here with TaShawn, Deb, and me. And remember, we're broadcasting via Fuji TV, the home of the future on television. You can find us on Roku TV, Apple TV, and on Fire TV. You can also find us as an app on Google Play and on the Apple Play Store. Or if you're using the internet, our web browser is Fuji.tv. Again, I hope to see you next time on another step about health. Thank you so very much. I'm going to leave you with our institutional message. Thank you.